Alright, so I figured I would go ahead and try to make a short little movie about my Nepenthes and my lowland greenhouse here, just to kind of show you the basics of how it works. I'm gonna use this to learn editing and music and all that, so this is very much a beginner project, so forgive me for beginner mistakes, but here we go. So come on in and let's take a look here.
Now I do keep some other plants other than Nepenthes, such as Hoyas, and I like especially the very large-leaved Hoyas and the very small ones. There's also a couple different types of monsteras and different types of philodendrons that I also have interests in, that also share some space with the Nepenthes, but that's because they actually make perfect growing companions, as their needs are very, very similar. Another interest of mine are the different types of ant plants, and these also make perfect growing companions for Nepenthes. So how does it all work? Well, it's all about controlling heat and humidity inside this small closed space. One of the ways that I control temperature is through this Inkbird system that runs a variable speed fan that exhausts out when the temperature reaches a certain degree. The outside vent will open automatically as the air is forced through it. Controlling humidity is one of the most important aspects when growing Nepenthes. I do so using one of the Inkbird humidity systems that's hooked to a hydrofogger. This keeps my daytime humidity about 70 to 80%, and during the nighttime it'll go up to about 90 to 95%.
It gets really hot and humid in here.
Fans are very important in the greenhouse, and I use a couple of them to push the air around quite a bit. Another way that I help to cool the greenhouse is through this window air conditioner. It also has a small heater that's built into it, but it just kind of takes the edge off. Built a small stand for it outside to support it. needless to say, water is very important with Nepenthes. Now, the most important thing is that the water is nice and clean. It should have as low of a dissolved mineral content as possible, but it's a little bit less important for Nepenthes than other plants. But this is how I do it. I've got a tub that holds about 25-30 gallons of water with a simple float switch that just turns itself off and on depending on where the water level is. And so this essentially assures that I always have a bin full of clean RO water, which I then go ahead and aerate using just a simple aquarium air pump. The reverse osmosis water comes into the bin from the reverse osmosis unit located directly outside, and it just comes through via a feeder line, and it's also attached to a 2.5 gallon holding pressure tank that then also is all hooked into the hydrofogger, which gives the hydrofogger RO water. I grow my Nepenthes vertically because I have just a 10 by 12 foot greenhouse, so this saves space. I simply use 3 bamboo poles that are then brought together up at the top. They're driven in 3 different spots on the bottom, and then simply just tied together up at the top. Some plants may need to be just staked individually like this. Once plants outgrow their stakes, this is a perfect time to go ahead and take cuttings. To provide the right light level for my Nepenthes, I use a 50% shade cloth that is attached actually on the inside using washers and self-tapping screws. And that's how my lowland greenhouse works here in Naples, Florida. Keep in mind that there's lots of different ways to grow these plants, but this is what works for me. You may find different ways and you may find different avenues, but the bottom line is as long as the plants are coming out healthy and happy, you're doing it right. Working on some additional videos to come here, including how I do my cuttings and my propagation. Even do some on how I pot mine up and different soil mix recipes. Well, thanks for watching and happy growing.